Hi everybody, welcome. I wasn't going to do a video today. My soul needed a rest and I'm trying to put my previous business together again for my daughter. So I've been trying to help her with stock. So I took the bulk of the day to finish some rag dolls and other craft products because two of her favorite food and craft markets are falling on the same day this month. And we cannot afford to cancel one, so Dragonman and I will run the one stall for her tomorrow. I love the art and craft side, but not the people side. So this will be the first time in many, many years where I will be manning a stall. Usually I only go once in a blue moon to give my daughter a toilet break, and then I pray that no one will approach a table while she's away. Oh well, we'll see. Luckily, Dragonman will be with me and he knows the place, the rules, and the entire setup there. Anyway, before I continue, I want to give a quick shout out to Ava Gardner, or then Fiona, and Andy from Tarot by Andy. Both of them discussed the video I made the other day about Charles's health and Harry's inheritance. And what I loved about these two women's narrative was that neither mocked the ideas in the video, but instead looked at it with a mature attitude, and both gave me credit for my work. And really, that is all I ask. You see, a lot of what I say in my videos are basically my opinions, and a lot of the subjects I talk about or the information I share with you comes from, number one, mainstream media, number two, from some of you, my subscribers, or then from four people whom I have worked with for a while. J and JJ being my most sensitive and more frequent contributors, and K and S not as frequent but very knowledgeable on certain subjects. The thing with subscribers and my other contributors is that when they share something with me, they do so with the best of intentions. And imagine yourself telling someone something or sharing something with someone just to hear how you are being mocked or called a liar or an idiot or whatever. And not only by the person you send the stuff to, but also by other creators. Would you dare open your mouth again? Well, very likely not. And that is why I either do not use certain information, or if and when I do, I treat my contributor with respect. And also why I then defend them against other creators. Because if Joe or Susie or a certain gentleman with the initials TC, like what happened in the recent past, starts knocking my contributors, calling them liars or shit stirrers or whatever, then I lose that person, number one, as a subscriber, or maybe as a friend, and definitely as a contributor. So honestly, I do not mind at all if someone discusses my content or even use my content, but as long as it is handled with respect and I'm giving credit for my work. So whether you like them or hate them, so far in 7 years there are 3 creators I can definitely list whom I know has treated me and my work with respect and who always gave me credit when talking about my stuff. And that would be number one, Paula M. Whether you like her or not, she's never done me dirty, ever. Andy, from Tarot by Andy, I don't know what her channel's called now, I can't remember. And now Ava Gardner, or then Fiona. honestly, in this business, it says a lot about a person because it is really a cutthroat world. Anyway, I quickly want to talk about that video again because I have since had a bit of a chat with one of my contributors about that video and the information I received. So I'm going to the best of my ability, give you a summary of our conversation and in particular what he said. According to what he's hearing, it is quite true that Charles is not doing well. Now please give the man a bit of a break. He is affiliated to the palaces, but he does not work at Buckingham Palace at all, in any capacity at all. So the woman who insinuated that he does work at Buckingham Palace, you are dead wrong. But go ahead, think whatever you want. More than that, you will have to kill me to get that information, and then if you do, you still will not know, and then never know who it is. If the royal family has, however, guessed who it is or who it was, it's also clear that they do not mind, because this person is extremely loyal to a, let's say, certain faction in the royal family and has never said a word to harm them. Just by the way, so the people who are now so active behind the scenes to try and get rid of us, I mean, come on, do your worst, because even your worst will actually not do anything. Anyway, back to our discussion. He says that for obvious reasons, like the fact that he's not within the inner circle, he does not know the exact details of the king's illness. What he knows is that the king's cancer started as one thing and evolved into another. Not that the cancer itself got worse. The prognosis for 5 to 10 years living with cancer at the time was indeed very good. But Charles developed other secondary health issues which made prolonged chemo impossible. And I actually went and looked it up, okay? And it all makes sense. His knowledge about the king's health, however, stops right there. Same as mine, okay? Now remember, I told you courtiers were more worried about King Charles's secondary condition. Remember? Well, that is where both of our truthful and specific knowledge ends. And if I have it right, this is also the information Lady C has, because by utter coincidence, the person who told Lady C at the time was the same person who told my informant. It hasn't happened before, pure coincidence. Okay, so from there, my guy can only tell me the gossip and obviously drips and drabs that he picked up over the last, say, 2 months. From what he hears, Charles's mood swings currently range from angry and upset one moment to severe self-pity the next, to total acceptance, to almost manic, telling staff even that he has so much to do and so little time to do it in, etc., etc. Or so my contributor heard and or was told. He also heard from a colleague that Charles's overall health has taken a turn for the worse since early January And according to this same colleague, it is the secondary issue more than the cancer which is causing the greatest concern. And yes, he says that I was right. The secondary issue does have something to do with the heart and lungs. According to the colleague, that is. Now please note, as is my habit to protect myself and my contributor, in this particular instance, the information comes from a third person, whom he believes may very well be truthful, but whom I do not know at all. Okay? So as far as the both of us are concerned, it may be planted information, it may be leaked information, or whatever. And even though we both think and feel that it is true and correct, it does not mean that it is indeed true and correct. Okay? I told you where our specific knowledge stopped. So I would say, let's say as from mid-December last year, everything we heard comes from a third person and not directly from my contributor. Okay? So, if it did, I would have told you that whatever I'm telling you is indeed fact. Okay? But it's from a third person. What my contributor can tell me, though, firsthand and truthfully, is that there had been a number of serious discussions between King Charles's senior courtiers and William's, which is not out of the ordinary, but maybe this time the meetings are a bit longer, a bit more regular, or whatever the case may be, but definitely serious. What he can also tell me truthfully is that there are many calls for Charles to cancel his trip to the United States. He says, from what he can derive from what he obviously hears, is that there are various reasons why courtiers are asking Charles to cancel his trip to the United States, his health being the biggest concern. Regardless of Buckingham Palace saying that Charles and Camilla will travel to the United States on the 28th of April for a short 3 to 4 day visit, a number of courtiers are calling it pure and utter stubbornness and are predicting that it will harm Charles's health even more. My contributor said there are even people in his orbit saying that if King Charles goes ahead with this visit to the United States, it will just prove to them that King Charles is using his illness to get his way, and that the stories about his dire health are just planted for whatever reason. However, my contributor says there is a lot of division among courtiers and certain circles about just how ill Charles really is. But as far as he is concerned, Charles is as sick as his closest staff are saying he is. My contributor also said that he personally has not seen Charles since early December. He has just seen him in photographs like we did, but referring specifically to photographs of Charles at that fashion show with Stella McCartney, he says Charles looks like a shadow of himself. Then we spoke about Harry and what he may or may not inherit from his father. He laughed. My contributor told me that there are stories about Charles's will all over the place, and some more bizarre than others. However, it is true that Charles has made some changes to his will at least twice since he became king. He says he also knows that William knows that Harry will inherit something, whatever, from his father. He says that he also knows that senior courtiers and lawyers have advised the king not to leave Harry any cash or jewelry because it's their opinion that Meghan Markle will burn through it within a year or two, or claim at least half of it in a divorce. Now, yes, I am well aware that there are ways to exclude inheritances from a divorce, but they fear that it may be set aside by a Californian court. Besides, he says, Harry does not know himself how to work with money. A rainy day to Harry is just that, a day on which you use your brolly or get wet. So yes, there were talks about properties and physical objects, but much more. He also does not know for sure, or whether a decision has been reached yet for that matter. But, and that is really interesting, my friends, he said, let's look at all of this realistically. The only properties we know of, okay, which Charles owns outright and which he can actually leave to someone else, are Balmoral, Sandringham, and the 10 properties in Romania. Yeah, as I said, that we 100% know of. There is talk about properties in the United States, but we do not exactly know what or where, if at all. So Charles cannot leave Sandringham to Harry because the Queen gifted William and Catherine Amner Hall on the Sandringham estate when they got married, which is a home they both love. So forget about Charles leaving Sandringham to Harry. Ain't gonna happen. Then there are Charles's properties in Romania. Charles has already gifted the one place back to the community as a museum and a gallery. These properties may in the future increase in value, okay? But at the moment they are worth about £130,000 each. Not exactly the type of money which will see Harry through into old age. So what is left? Unless Charles owns properties in the United States or elsewhere which we don't know about, I am afraid that Balmoral is the only property left which can be left to Harry. Allegedly, Charles has offered Harry and Meghan Royal Lodge as the United Kingdom base, but also, allegedly, Meghan does not want to live there, not even temporarily. But also note that Royal Lodge does not belong to Charles. It is a crown property, and Meghan and Harry, or whoever lives there next, will have to pay rent to the Crown estate. Others have suggested Highgrove. Well, Highgrove belongs to the Duchy of Cornwall, and Charles is currently paying the duchy rent, and so will the next person who gets to live there. So what is left? Again, unless it's true that King Charles owns property in the United States or elsewhere, all that is left is Balmoral. Interesting argument or train of thought coming from my contributor, don't you think? Anyway, neither of us know the truth, and we are both wondering why a stranger would tell me such a story out of the blue. It's not like Charles's will had been a topic of discussion recently. No. Oh well. Now that my online buddy is back, we will start digging and asking questions in the right places. So who knows what we may discover. So, guys, until we meet again, please take good care of yourselves and stay safe. Bye.